Welcome to Real Talk,
where we watch movies.
so you don't waste your time or your money.
I'm Po.
And I'm Laketta. Welcome to Real Talk. I'm Laketta.
And I'm Po.
And today on the menu is the Odyssey. So this is a movie I believe we went to see about two weeks ago, right? And this movie was definitely an experience for me. And so I went into the movie very much so cold. I have no knowledge base about the Odyssey. I wasn't into Greek mythology like that, you know, when I was in school, other than watching like the Hercules cartoon when I came home from high school. I think Poe was more so, he knew more about Greek mythology, or what you liked Greek mythology, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then as far as the Odyssey, you haven't read the Odyssey.
I haven't read it front to back, but I
Okay.
know the basic story and the premise of it, and you know what happens throughout it. But I haven't read it word for word. No.
Okay. So I'm just really curious to see how we're going to end as far as our ratings and our reviews. So before we get into it, I just want to say this about Christopher Nolan, okay? Christopher Nolan definitely know how to make you shut up and sit down and pay attention. That's all I have to say. What you think about Christopher Nolan?
How much time we got?
Oh,
know,
not that long.
To put it plain and simply, Christopher Nolan is my favorite director.
Okay.
I think he is the greatest director of all time. So obviously going any of his films, I have very high expectations. My favorite movie of all time is Interstellar by Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
He's got 13 movies, and I believe he has 13 hits, no misses. So I have high expectations. With that being said, coming in for this movie, knowing that it's Nolan directing it, knowing that it's the Odyssey, a nearly 3,000-year-old story, you know, about the struggles, the trials and the tribulations of Odysseus. And I've been waiting for this movie since I first heard it announced, which is 3, maybe 4 years ago.
Okay. So, I mean, let's go back to when you said Christopher Nolan had no misses or...
Yeah.
I mean, just recently, let me tell y'all something. So Poe tries to test my knowledge base when it comes down to directors. He'll put on a movie and then afterwards he'll say, you know who that director was, right? So since the Odyssey, I've just been saying Christopher Nolan because I'm just
Okay, so with that being said,
right, what?
I don't like to talk about other movies while we're reviewing one movie. So whether your opinion was high or low on any of his other films, we'll say that for another.
No, I'm gonna say what his movie, what I'm talking about. I'm not rating the movie.
Okay.
I'm saying about Tenet. Okay, that to me, we're gonna leave that for another discussion. But Tenet was, again, listen, we got to talk about Tenet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll talk about it. I mean, yeah, okay. So, moving right along. In this particular review, I'm going to be touching a lot on characters. So, characters and storyline for me. And I'm going to start off by saying Penelope and Odysseus at the opening of this, I felt no emotional connection. I would say the cinematography to me was amazing, but me personally, I didn't feel the emotional connection to them. And it could be because I'm thinking that Christopher Nolan, when he decided to do the Odyssey, it was based off of his knowledge of the Odyssey. So a lot of the people who know about the Odyssey would know like about the character development already. Me, a person who has never read the Odyssey and I'm coming in cold, yeah, that is, I just didn't feel that connection at all. What about you?
You talking about at the very beginning of the movie?
The very beginning, yeah. Before he was leaving to go on his journey.
Yeah, I felt the connection. I mean,
did.
it seemed like, you know, like people that were in love and that, you know, was hard to leave and that, yeah, I did. But I can't say that has been, you know, for Christopher Nolan, the only knock that has stuck with him throughout his career is that sometimes it is said that his characters lack emotional depth. And that some people have a hard time connecting. So that is a valid criticism of Christopher Nolan that I've heard. It doesn't hit me like that. I think in all his movies, their characters and the way that it hits me, I think it's a lot of examples of it showing that it works. But it works for me. But yeah, it worked for me. But I get it. You know.
Yeah, because I mean, me personally, again, that's my personal opinion. I didn't feel the connection, and because again, just me coming into it, I just think that like you hadn't built that storyline, and then he just went to me just right off. So I'm just like, okay, so we're not going to develop these characters a little bit more for the audience. So.
Well, I mean, to speak on it, the story. Christopher Nolan is also known for telling nonlinear stories.
Okay.
They jump. The Odyssey is told like this. When Homer wrote it 3,000 years ago, it's told in a nonlinear way.
Okay.
Which makes sense that Nolan would direct it. So this is the true nature of how the story starts.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't build up to anything. It starts there and then it jumps around.
Oh, okay. So that makes more sense. And again, this is why this review is going to be very interesting, because Poe knows more about Christopher Nolan and this Odyssey. I'm going in cold, so that's what's going to make this very much so interesting. So what's the guy name that played, was it Eumaeus? Is that John Leguizamo?
Yeah.
Okay. So I loved his character in this particular movie. I loved his performance overall. I just loved like how he transitioned into this character. I think the first movie I ever saw him in was Tu Wong Fu with Wesley Snipes and Patrick Swayze. That was my first introduction to him. So, and overall, I believe in every movie that he's been in, he's just been amazing from what I've heard. I've only experienced him, I think, in Tu Wong Fu. I can't think of any other movie off the top of my head that I've seen him in. What about you?
I've seen John Leguizamo. I mean, I don't know, 20, 30 movies. I think he's been in movies since like maybe.
How can I have not seen him in any
I don't know.
movie?
I'm sure you've seen him. He's known primarily as a comic actor, but he has done dramatic roles from time to time. He has done 7 one-man stage shows as well throughout his career. So he's very talented. I was surprised to see him in this movie because, again, all right, so let me preface this. I try to go in every movie that I can as cold as possible. All right. All I know is that Christopher Nolan was directing this movie, and it was the Odyssey. I had no idea he was in this movie, even though I've been waiting for it for 3 or 4 years. Even though I'm a big movie head, I am very, very good at avoiding spoilers and any type of information because I don't want to know anything about a movie. I want to experience the movie for the first time when I go see it. No trailers, no casting, no anything. So I was very surprised to see Leguizamo in the movie for the simple fact that I do know him primarily as a comic actor. But I was glad to see him. And he definitely was one of my favorite characters in the movie. So he did a great job at his role.
Okay, so overall, from what I gather watching this movie, right, is that Odysseus and his soldiers, they went out, on this journey. And it took them, this was like a 20-year journey, right?
Yes.
That's a long time.
It took 20 years total, but let's break it down.
Okay.
He was going from Ithaca, where he was king of, for 20 years.
Right.
All right. The first 10 years was at Troy.
Okay.
Between the beach and then eventually overcoming the walls of Troy.
Right.
So that was 10 years. All right. Then he went out with his men, and that took an additional 3 years. All right. Then he went on the island with what's her name?
Calypso.
Calypso. He was with her for 7 years.
Okay.
And then he went on a journey home after that.
Okay.
So that's how the 20 years was broke down.
Okay, got it. All right. So the actor that's playing Odysseus is Matt Damon, and I believe, as far as choosing an actor to play Odysseus, or the way that it's portrayed, again, I'm going into this thing cold. I believe he was a great choice. I believe he was like the driving force of this movie. Now, as far as a leader, he's somebody I probably at some point would have stopped listening to, but we're gonna talk about that more later. But I believe he was like he had a strong performance in the role of Odysseus. Would you agree, or would you?
No, he was fantastic as Odysseus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, think Matt Damon, by and large, is a great actor.
Mm-hmm.
When I would think of some actors offhand that I would think would play Odysseus, Matt Damon would not even in my top 10 list of actors that I would think would play him. With that being said, he was fantastic in the role. What I'm just saying is that I wouldn't think of him as Odysseus before this movie. But seeing him in the role, he was fantastic. So I see why he was chosen.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember after they left for in the context of the movie, after they left to go on this journey, how the story was being told. I believe it flashed first to us seeing him like on a beach, and then it came back to him telling the actual story of the journey. So it flashes to Odysseus on this beach, and essentially he's like walking like in the shallow parts of the water. So I'm not really at this point. Okay, I'm like locked in, because I'm like, okay, I need to follow this story, because we are already see there's some things that's happening that maybe I need to be really paying attention to. So we got Odysseus. That is, now it flashes back to them in the boat. The soldiers, they're in deep into this journey. So the first place that they went to was that what town was that? Was that the Trojan town? Like where was that at? Where they were burning down the first place that they burned down.
Was it Troy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that was my first indicator that this thing is finna be really brutal, because I believe the way that this story is being told, it's testing your morals. Like, what would you do if you're trying to get back to back home, and you're faced with hunger, loneliness. So I'm just like, okay, I see this particular village being burnt down. And from what I gather, Odysseus, and I'm not sure how Homer wrote this story, the feeling that I got for Odysseus at the beginning was that he was a guy of morals. Like, he had a family. He was going on this journey, and he was to return back home, even though I believe he told Penelope that she should marry if he didn't return back home.
Yes.
So I always thought, like, okay, this is a guy of high standards. He has some morals. So when I saw him and his soldiers pretty much burning down this village, I mean, at this point, that's when I started having like mixed feelings about Odysseus, and where his character, where they were going to lead his character in the telling of this story.
I mean, that's fair, and the thing is about Odysseus, right? Mm-hmm. He's early on, you see through flashbacks when he's out there hunting with the children, and and it was said at various times that he wasn't the strongest or the fastest, but he would always be the smartest, right?
Right.
And he was also king. So with those things being said, you would think that not being the strongest or the fastest, he would be the smartest and stand by that. But as we go through the story, we find out that a lot of the decisions that he made, as was said, that were not smart decisions. And were decisions most of the time making under duress, but under duress is what a time when the leader is supposed to stand up and be the best,
Yeah.
for the men that he leads. And we find out
Mm-hmm.
throughout the story that at many occasions Odysseus failed.
Yeah. Yeah, you can say that. I mean, I get trying to survive. I get that. I think we all as human beings get trying to survive. But when it comes to the point where you're at that crossroad where do you go against your morals, or do you just stay cognizant and follow what your belief systems are? And I think that was what he was being tested with. And so they burned down, this is my thing, you burn down the village, right? And it's like they just kept testing it. Like they just kept testing it. Everywhere they go, it was like chaos and destruction.
Mm-hmm.
Chaos and destruction. So I'm just like, okay, I'm looking at them at this point like they're bullies. These are a bunch of just men that's coming to destroy whatever they touch. And I think they kept testing and testing and testing to the point they had to F around and find out. And so they come upon this land and they get out the boat because they see a sheep and they're hungry. I get it. You hungry. I'm hungry. Okay, let's go follow this sheep. But my thing is when they followed the sheep back to that cave where the sheep was led them back to, I believe that when Odysseus said, well, let's go and see, greet the owners of the sheep. I believe had this owner not being who we know this owner to be, which we'll discuss in a few minutes, if it was somebody like on the same level, let's just say, of Odysseus, I think they would have bullied them. They would have probably killed them, and they would have took, whatever belonged to the people that was owners of that cave. That's what I believe to happen. But we know that's not what happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do you think that if that had not been who we know that to be, that they would have killed the person or whoever was in that cave with those sheep and just took the sheep for themselves?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. Because at the end of the day, despite his mistakes, I do think that Odysseus, at his heart, was an upstanding person.
Right.
So I don't think he would willingly go in and slaughter innocent people for their sheep.
But I mean, he had already done that previously. They killed like villages. So like that's what made me feel like, yeah, they would go in and they would just do whatever to survive.
Well, that was war. War is different. Again, certain things happen during war that don't happen outside of war.
Okay.
So I do believe that they would have come in peace. Now, I do believe that they would be willing to kill, but I don't think that would be the default setting.
Okay.
Because again, the undercurrent of this whole film is about Zeus's law. Mm-hmm. And Zeus's law basically states you have to be careful and treat everybody with kindness that you meet because you never know, because they could be gods in disguise. And that's the entire theme of what this movie is about ultimately.
Yeah.
So as at some point practitioners of Zeus's law, I would think that they would, again, by default, abide by that, especially after what they had been through prior, because again, this is the return journey from the Trojan War. Those 3 years with the soldiers. So I don't think that they would have just killed indiscriminately by default. But that's my thought.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we can agree to disagree on that, but I can tell you this. I know what they wasn't prepared for. Yeah. They wasn't prepared for that Cyclops.
Right.
I can tell you that. Yeah. The way that he was eating them like they was McDonald's fries. Yeah. Like I was so taken aback. Yeah. I was like really, really, number one, I was blown that that was a Cyclops. And the way that the Cyclops looked, like this thing was huge. Yeah. It was a freaking giant. Yeah. And I'm sorry, but yeah, he was eating like the way that he was like chomping on them and like they was falling out his mouth.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of when you go to McDonald's and you try to eat all the fries and you try to just stuff them in your mouth and they just falling out. That's what was happening. Like
Cookie Monster.
right, right.
Cookie Monster eat. You just crumble onto the floor.
I was like, that's what they ass get.
Yeah.
That's just what they get. And not only was it the Cyclops, but then he shut them in.
Yeah.
With that big behind stone, because we know that just them collectively as men, they couldn't, number one, probably move that stone, and then number two, they didn't want the Cyclops to keep eating them.
Yeah.
Because he had already, I don't know how many men he picked up and ate that first time,
Yeah.
but it was quite a few.
I think it was like 3 or 4. Something.
Nah, that thing looked like he was just chomping them.
Yeah.
So I think that right there, that's when in the movie theater, when I saw that happen, that's when I like really sat up. I was like, yo, this thing about to get good.
Yeah.
What you think about the Cyclops? Was that was in the original telling of the story?
The original telling of the story was quite different. So
Okay.
not quite different. It was a few differences. So
Okay.
it was one big difference, one huge difference actually. So the Cyclops in the original telling of the narrative, it wasn't just one Cyclops. There were more than one.
Okay.
All right. The main Cyclops who we encounter in this movie, his name was Polyphemus, and he's the son of Poseidon,
Right.
which is the god of the sea.
Mm-hmm.
So he's herding sheep. You know, he's making cheese.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a shepherd. That's what he is. He lets them out. He lets them back in, and he lives in peace, seemingly.
Yeah.
So these little people come in here and disturb what he's doing. You know, you know, as rightfully so. You know, he was angry. So you know, they tried to escape, and then they had a chance to escape. And some did. I think some people got out initially, but then Polyphemus was huge, and he, like she said, they had a boulder and they moved it back. So they're like, hey, we have to stay over here tonight. We're not going to be able to move this boulder, so we have to wait. So they waited, and then they thought of a really good plan. They said, hey, some people are probably going to have to be sacrificed.
Right.
You know, and you know, basically is, you know,
I'd have been like, it ain't gonna be me though.
Right.
So
right. Well, what is the saying? Some people will have to die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
yeah, yeah. That's what the king on Shrek said. That's hilarious.
So yeah. But go ahead.
So yeah. Like Poe was just saying, like they came up with a strategy so that they could escape whenever the Cyclops woke back up to remove the boulder, so they could kind of sneak through. So they basically like tied like little bundles of hay to themselves. That way, when they went through, he wouldn't feel them. But let me rewind a little bit. Before they even escaped to even do that part of it, he did go to sleep. He came back in and he went to sleep, and they stabbed him in the eye.
Yeah.
With their sword. So that alone is what really started like triggering and setting the trajectory of what this journey, the remainder of this journey is going to look like. Because like you mentioned, he was the son of Poseidon, and Poseidon is the god of the sea. So bad enough you already done stabbed this doggone Poseidon, this Cyclops who was minding his own good old business in the eye, and you bothering his stuff. Y'all escape. And what Odysseus do? He could have just went ahead, been grateful that he escaped, and went back to his boat. But what did he do? He turned around with that little bow and arrow, and he shot him again in the eye. So yeah, he had to get his last look. And I mean, that right there, I think once he did that, that's what cursed the remainder of his journey. Because going forward to every place that they touched, even to get there, when they got back in that boat, the seas were not nice to them.
They weren't nice to him. And to just take it back to Polyphemus, in the original story, amongst the Cyclops, Polyphemus asked Odysseus what his name was, and he said nobody. He said, my name is nobody. So when he was shot and when he fled, the other Cyclops said, who attacked you? Who blinded you? And Cyclops, Polyphemus responded, nobody did. Nobody did.
Oh,
so that was the big difference between the movie and the original story. But again, Odysseus being a proud man revealed who he was in the movie. If he wouldn't have said something, then he wouldn't have known who he was and wouldn't have had him cursed. Being too proud and doing too much instead of just leaving. Not only that, not only did he curse himself and his men that were alive, it led directly to the death of several other of his men that wouldn't have died if he would have just left. So that was one of the first big mistakes he made on the journey back.
Right. Okay. So they make it to the boat. Well, some of them make it to the boat. The ones that survived. Yeah. And so again, the story jumps. It jumps back to Ithaca, where Penelope is, and so you see Odysseus' home is cluttered. I'm saying cluttered because these are pests.
Yeah.
You understand me? Like cluttered with these cockroaches, which we call men. And all of them were there, I believe, to wait for Penelope to choose one of them to be king, right?
Yep.
And so I think this is where I think I was like, okay, so we're just not going to have a storyline. But going back to what you were talking about before, like the way that this story was written, it was to jump all over the place. Right. So again, somebody who has no knowledge of that, I'm just like, okay, so this not going to make sense. We just gonna keep jumping back and forth with no type of meats and potatoes to tell us what's really happening. Now, I did get, just by the conversation that Penelope was having with her son, is it Temeculus?
Yeah.
With Temeculus, that these suitors were waiting on her to make a choice, and he was going now on his own personal journey to find his dad. And so they have all of these men, when I say men, let me just make it plain and clear, the most vile, disgusting, sadistic individuals that you could possibly think of. Like, I don't even understand, like, why they even thought that she would even choose them. I'm talking about they chew them with their mouth open. They just disgusting. So in the story, in the original story, was this part of it too?
Oh yeah, the suitors were there.
So yeah, I was trying to figure out, was this something that was like just written in for our entertainment, the viewers' entertainment, if it was a part of the story?
Absolutely. It's the whole premise of the story,
Okay. He's been going 20 years. They're like, he's been going 20 years. He's not coming back. Marry one of us, which is a legitimate request at that point for being going for that long, so, yeah.
But I can say, like, when I'm looking at the cinematography of everything, especially of the men, the palace, or the wherever they're living at, and where Penelope is doing her, I'm not sure what she was weaving together, but she was doing her own little arts. I call it arts and craft. The cinematography was so on point, like the mood of it, I would say, the lighting. Again, Poe and I saw this at was it IMAX?
It was IMAX.
Yeah, we saw it in IMAX. So it makes you have your own personal experience, I believe, whenever something is shot in IMAX, and that's the way that the viewer is taking it in. Because I felt like I was like there.
Yeah,
that's how I felt.
Yeah, it was definitely amazing seeing IMAX, more specifically 65 millimeter. Now there's only a handful of 70 millimeter true IMAX theaters across the entire United States. Ironically, there is one about 3.5 miles away from us in Fort Lauderdale, which is a true IMAX.
Okay.
Unfortunately, what I found out is that you cannot buy tickets at that location.
Why?
You can buy them ahead of time, but you cannot do reserved seatings there. So, yeah, that's the thing with that. So to buy those tickets and to drive all that time and get there and then have a terrible seat would not be a good experience. So although I would love to see it in 70 millimeter, the 65 was awesome. I did feel immersed. and it was a great way of seeing it. You know, it adds to the experience, but this is such a a film that any format that you see it on would be worth seeing it in. But if you can, definitely try to see it in IMAX.
So again, I want to go back to saying, for the moviegoers and the viewers like myself who have no knowledge base of what this movie is about, I think we can all agree that this movie looks amazing. This movie sounds amazing. The sound of the movie was on point. But as far as the storyline, if you don't have any knowledge base of what the Odyssey is about, you are going to feel like you're going through a tug of war. So just as this telling of this story is jumping all over, I'm going to jump all over, right? So now I'm just going to go into what the best moment of this movie was for me. And the best moment of this movie for me was, because we all know Odysseus is on his way back home. That's what this whole journey is about. So my best moment is when he returned home and nobody knew that he was home.
Mm-hmm.
He had returned.
Mm-hmm.
And when it was time, to do, which we'll get into later, but when he was the one to string that bow again, and he plucked that string, I felt like a superhero.
Yeah.
Especially in IMAX with the sound. Yeah. I was like, that was like my best moment in the movie. Yeah. Because it also gave, it put people on notice that was around him.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, he back.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. Even Penelope, she stopped what she was doing. Because she knew at that point, oh, only one person can string this and only one person would pluck it like that. So that was my best moment. Did you have any best moments?
I didn't have one single best moment.
Okay.
It was a couple of them.
Okay.
But that was definitely one of them.
Yeah.
That was absolutely one of them.
Yeah, I love that.
I'd say I'd have a top five.
Yeah.
That's one of the top fives. Absolutely.
I just like really couldn't believe that. But so going back to the actual story, what was the name of his one soldier that he was like close to?
Like his right hand man?
Yeah, his right hand man.
Oh man.
I forgot his name.
Yeah. These names are kind of hard to remember. Eurylacus, something like that.
Yes.
Eurylacus, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I also felt like he was a very noble man, and he also was trying his best to hurry up and get back home to. And again, prior to them going on this journey, there's really no character building of this particular guy. Mm-hmm. So I don't know much about him other than, like you said, he's Odysseus' right hand man, right. And he's the one that's really trying to keep the soldiers motivated and to keep moving. Yep. And so in going back, since you know more about the Odyssey prior to this movie, did they talk more about his character in the original telling of the story?
I'm not sure. I don't know about the individual beats of the story. I just know the overarching themes and Odysseus and such. I don't know about his men specifically. Okay. So yeah.
What did you think about him?
I thought he was really good. I thought he was very good in his role. Yeah. I thought that he did show that he had some integrity and morals about him. From what we saw of him. Through most of the movie, he definitely seemed to be a stand-up type of person. Yeah. And it seemed like the other soldiers definitely did respect him as well. So I thought he did an amazing job as far as acting as well too.
Okay. So I'm going to say okay. So we talked about like what my best moment in the movie was. I would tell you what my best my most favorite, not my best, but my favorite encounter in the movie was when they greeted behinds, got off that, went to this another land, of course, and they met up with Cersei.
Yeah,
and they were so hungry, And Cersei so happened to be a witch. And she fed them what they thought they was eating soup. But in the movie, when she gave them the soup and the way that they were eating, and they started getting like just really I'm gonna say like just nasty with they were getting like it was just like they were pigs. They were pigs. They were eating like pigs. I was just like at first I didn't know what was happening. I really didn't, because the way that she came onto the scene, I thought that she was really afraid of them. And she really like tricked them.
Well, she was really afraid of them. First and foremost, that was.
You think
genuine.
so?
I do think.
You think it was genuine? Okay.
I think she really was afraid of them.
And again, just to the mastery of that scene, it seemed like we were transported into a horror movie.
Yes.
Because the way that they were manipulated and transformed into pigs wasn't just a snap of the finger and they were pigs. No, she literally molded them. Put her hand on one of the mouths. Pulled their face apart.
Their throats.
Very disturbing scene. And it had a maximum effect, because you were like, what am I seeing? Because it did really seem real. How the practical effects were used. It was really cool.
I wonder how he created that, but I think for me, when they were on this land too, it started making more sense, because when they first came and like when the guys was like walking up to where Cersei lived at, you saw a tiger, you saw a cheetah, you saw a lion, and I was like, why are all these animals out here in this type of habitat when they a lot of them weren't cohabitat like that closely together, and I'm just like, what is really going on? But then when I saw her turn their greedy behinds into pigs, and that was my favorite encounter. But I think what made me mad is when Odysseus did come back, right? And
before that, remember, he shot what he thought was a deer,
and it turned into a person. So that's what made him know to go back to that home. And then when he went through the gate, he saw all of their shields and their uniforms down there in her backyard, along with the pigs.
But even before that, quick interjection, when his men went and saw Cersei, when she told them to take their weapons and put them outside, immediately you saw about 300 armors and weapons on the ground, like, yo, I think we should leave real quick.
Right. But you gotta, so again, you gotta keep in the context of what they're going through.
Of course. Right.
So we would have got the hell up out of there. They are hungry as hell. They need some type of nutrients to even keep going. So they don't care about them. Hey, they don't die. We need to eat. So they go in and they eat. But then, like I was saying, like when Odysseus comes and she's like fixing him soup, I'm not sure if you paid attention to like the difference in the soups that they was making. Like Odysseus soup was more clear versus what she fed them. So I wonder, had Odysseus tasted that soup, would he have been transformed into something? Or because what she made him was clear, was that truly just like a regular soup?
That's a good point. I don't know.
One would never know.
Right.
But what made me mad though is like once Odysseus did reveal to her, like he know that those were his men, and she turned them back when they left. Why they didn't help the other ones, like the lions and the cheetah and all the other animals there and the tiger? Why they didn't do something to help get them turned back?
That's a good point.
I was just like, man, y'all got turned back. Y'all know for a fact that these are real people.
Right.
Why not help them?
Right. Well, they were just concerned about getting off the island. Now that's another big difference between the original story and Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. In the original story, they stayed with Cersei for a full year, after she turned them back into men from pigs. Again, they were together for 3 years, and 1 full year of those 3 years were staying with Cersei. Something that was very, very important in the Cersei trip was Cersei wasn't just an evil witch. I guess opinions can be mixed as far as that. Was she an evil witch? Because she did, as we found out, turn her sister into a bird.
Yeah, like, why would you do that?
Was screaming, don't do it. She turned me into a bird.
Right. That's what she was screaming.
That's what she was screaming. Don't do it. She was screaming that. And then the other people that were on the island that were animals, the lion, the tiger, the deer and such. But it was something very important that she said. Mm-hmm. When she turned them back into humans, what did she say?
She said, "Go back to your normal something.
Go back
to your original form or something.
In your disguise.
Oh yeah, your disguise. Okay, yeah.
Go back into your disguises because their true form
was pigs.
Were pigs.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You know, and that was very telling.
Oh, she wrong for that.
Was she though? That's the question. Was she wrong? Because this is the first iteration we hear of something. Are you the men from the sea? These men, by their very nature, are pigs. What have you done? I know about you all. Mm-hmm. So that was very telling. From what happened with Circe. So that was a cool scene. One of my favorite in the movies.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, that was definitely my favorite encounter. Yeah. Overall in the movie. Yeah. Some of the other actors and actresses I wanted to touch point on, which they had like brief cameos in the movie, but wasn't really they were a part of the story, of course, but in this particular movie they just briefly touched on them. And like Lupita played, I believe it was Helen of Troy.
Yeah, and there was a sister she played as well.
Oh, okay, yeah, she played the twin sister. Alongside John Bernthal, who plays Shane to me in everything he does. But he is an amazing actor, but I personally feel like he plays Shane in every movie. How about you? Like, what you think about John Bernthal?
He's an amazing actor. And I think he has absolute range. I mean, from this to We Own This City to Punisher.
I haven't seen a Punisher. That's all I know him from is The Walking Dead.
He's a very intense actor. He's a very good actor. I think he's known for being an a-hole a lot.
Maybe that's what it is.
But I think there is nuance and range within that a-holeness. I think he's been able to play a variety of different types of characters, and he is an amazing actor. Again, another actor who I was surprised to see in this film, but there were a few Walking Dead actors in this movie, which was really interesting.
Circe was one, right?
Yeah.
John Bernthal.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one in here.
Yes, one of the suitors who also played.
Oh yeah, that's the one. I couldn't wait for them to get him
in the NWA movie. I forgot his name.
Yeah. Because he had that bad lace front in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, with them dreads. I was like, bruh.
Yeah.
Who did that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, now. If we want to go to like what characters did we want to see Odysseus get first, he was one of them for me. What was the other guy? What was his name?
You mean the main bad guy?
The main bad guy that was hiding with Odysseus was tearing him up.
Yeah, Antonius.
Oh yeah, him, Antonius.
Robert Pattinson. Who's an actor.
Yes, he's Batman, right?
He's Batman. He was the main guy in Twilight, and he's shown that he definitely has left that behind him, and in a variety of different ways, in a variety of different roles over the years. And he's another person who's been in a couple of Christopher Nolan movies. He was in Tenet as well, and also The Lighthouse. No,
yeah.
What am I talking about? The Lighthouse was not Christopher Nolan's one of my other favorite directors, Robert Eggers' movies. He was great in that too. But he's a fantastic actor.
Yeah. I've seen him in quite a few things,
and he's actually played alongside Zendaya in a new movie where they were like in love. I forgot the name of it. I haven't like watched it, but I've been saying like I saw previews of it. Now I keep saying I'm going to watch it.
Yeah. I know
but
I'm going to watch it too.
Okay. Yeah.
Another review for that one.
Yep. And so also another actor that I wanted to acknowledge is another one that it was a lot of controversy around this person as well, and it was Elliot Page. And Elliot Page at the very beginning, who took the brunt of the who basically was killed for protecting, standing in front of the horse.
From the horse, yep.
Yeah, still came back and did an amazing performance.
Yeah, sign on.
Right.
Yeah.
Coming out of the dirt when the giants and all of when they encountered those giants. So I think overall the cast that they chose for the Odyssey was an outstanding cast. There was a lot of like A-listers in here.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway as Penelope.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, Tom Holland as Telemachus, his son.
Yeah.
Leguizamo. We talk about all these different actors.
And then Zendaya.
Yep, had a prominent role.
Oh yeah.
Very prominent role.
And at first, okay, again, somebody who don't know nothing about the Odyssey, when she kept showing up, I'm just like, what's she here for?
Right.
I was like, what is she doing?
Right.
Like, is she the guide on this journey?
Well, yeah, she was Athena.
Right. Yeah, I know that now.
Right.
But again, as somebody who didn't know anything, just going into the movie, you would be asking like, okay, what's she doing? Why is she there?
Right.
Why does she keep showing up?
Right.
And then until you get to the part where you see why she keeps showing up.
Yeah.
And that is because he killed her.
Yeah.
So, but let's talk about the horse and all of these freaking men that was stuffed in this damn horse. I couldn't believe how many men were stuck in there. What was it, about 10 men?
I don't know how many men were in it ultimately. I don't think they gave an exact number, but
it looked like the way that it was shot, it looked like a whole bunch of men was in there. I'm quite sure it was only probably like just a few men in there.
Yeah.
But it's just the way that it was shot that it looks like it was a lot of men.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about that whole scene and how that came about?
I thought it was cool how it came about. I thought it was very, very. I thought it was interesting how it was shot. Okay, because the horse was not just laid out; it was submerged in the sand to the point where the tide went up, and some men succumbed to the tide because they drowned. And I thought it was an ingenious idea that Odysseus had to have it done that way, because it gave the people that came for it a sense of urgency, like this could be swept away at any point, so we need to get it out. And it also looked really nice because, again, it was supposed to be a gift. So I thought the plot and the plan was done very well, and obviously it worked.
Right.
So yeah, it was cool because we all know the Trojan horse. Even if you don't know the story about the Odyssey, Trojan horse is in our common language. Everybody knows what a Trojan horse is.
Yeah.
And
then plus they got them as condoms too.
Yeah.
That again, and the Trojan horse is, something that is a surprise. Is somebody sneaks in and it's a surprise. So yeah. So I thought it was done very well.
And I think this is the location in where they encounter Athena when they was going through this particular village, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so it was the city of Troy, right? So they were on the beach for 10 years,
Right.
fighting the Trojan War.
Right.
The city of Troy had giant walls that Odysseus's army and Agamemnon's army could not breach.
Right.
And they stayed trying to get through for 10 years. All right, so Troy wasn't just the city with walls. It controlled other places that were outside of the city, but that's where the central part of the government was. And that's where they had to get into, and that's where they invaded.
Okay.
And that's where they went to with the Trojan horse to get inside. And the only way they could get inside was to bring a seeming gift to get in there, because the men just couldn't do it.
Okay. So the soldiers that were outside of the walls that they killed first to get inside, right?
The soldiers that were outside the wall was Agamemnon's army.
Right.
And that's the guy with the super black suit, the cool looking dude. That was his army, and they basically were the spies for him to get him in there, because again they had been trying to get in for 10 years.
True. Okay. So yeah, they go into they breach the wall, of course. They get in finally,
Right.
and
Well, they didn't breach. They were let in by the Trojan army. They brought them in willingly, under the guise that this horse is a gift.
Right.
Not a horse full of enemy soldiers.
Right. And so they're inside now, and they are. I'm not gonna say like they were not like before at the first location where they pretty much burned down the village, but they were like killing people silently. Like you couldn't, like there wasn't, to me there wasn't a lot of noise.
No, it wasn't.
On this, at this particular takeover, it was like they were silently killing them.
Yeah.
And I think this is the part too where I was able to see Odysseus, that I could see his human side here and there, but I think this is where I was able to see him like question like his own morals, when it came down to when he met Athena and he had his moment there with Athena. And yeah, so basically the reason why Athena was following him around is because she was what? A ghost? Really? Every time she appeared?
Yeah, I mean, you could say she was basically like a ghost haunting him. Yeah, you could say that.
Right. So I'm trying to remember. Did he cut her head off? Like I couldn't remember.
Well, he didn't. His men did. But he saw it happen.
Right
in front of him.
But it was her head, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, they decapitated her. So, and it's like it's every time that he would get into a bind on any of these journeys, which to me was like the entire time, but it was like when it was like high, like controversy, that she would then appear to him to kind of like give him some kind of guidance, or to remind him that he's a decent person and that he shouldn't be doing what he's doing. That's the way that I kept, every time she showed up, that's the way that I took it.
As far as how she came in the film, it did seem like she knew more than what she was letting on. And that was my thing as to how I saw her. So they go to Troy, and then they come out the Trojan horse in the middle of the night. They sneak out. As they get out of the horse, they're weak. They're moving really gingerly, but then they sneak out behind and they kill a few more men. And then they get to the gate, and it's a tense moment because, the Trojans are coming out. They recognize now that they have intruders, that there are people inside the Trojan horse. And they're trying to stop them from opening the gates. Trying to stop them. Some men are getting killed. Other men are getting killed from Odysseus' men. But they get to the point where they are able to actually open the gates. Agamemnon comes in. His men come in. And the rest is history. They take the city of Troy. And that is the end of that. From that point, then we jump back to, I believe, maybe Calypso and Odysseus. And he's asking about, well, I don't know what in order it is, but we get back to the point where he's talking to Calypso on the island, which he's been with for 7 years, and asking him about the memories and why is he still there and what actually happened and where are all his men and this and that. And she shows that he has been eating some sort of a lotus flower, which had been causing him to lose his memory.
Right.
And such. And he, wanted to know how long he had been away total, and she tells him. So he didn't realize he had been going that long.
Yeah, which was crazy. That he was on this beach with Calypso for as long as he was, and it's like he had whatever this lotus plant was just so strong that it was wiping his memory. And I think he was, because she wasn't making him tea. He was like actually eating the flower itself, right?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah.
Okay, so. At that point, once Calypso kind of like revealed what was going on to him, I believe he stopped eating the flower so that his memory could somewhat come back, and that's what made him leave the beach to start journeying back to Ithaca.
Talk about another one of my favorite parts of the film was Odysseus and his men had several different encounters on their journey back home, and one of them was when he went to Hades, and he talked with the various people that had died on the journey. Sinon was one of them. Agamemnon was another one.
Mm-hmm.
And they told him what he would need to do to get his men back home. He was told by a person that he would have to cross over a certain space, and that he would encounter the sirens, a whirlpool, and then some other monsters. So one of my favorite scenes of the entire movie was with Odysseus and his men went past the sirens. And we've heard the legends of the sirens, the women that call the people that are on the sailors and mesmerize them with beautiful songs and forces them to jump to their death. And one of my favorite points of this film was that because Odysseus told them that he wanted to hear the siren song because no man had heard the siren song and lived. So he told them to tie him up. And they did. Right, and he told the rest of his men to plug their ears so they wouldn't hear, so they would be safe too. So everybody would live, and Odysseus would get to hear. So they did tie him up, and they did plug their ears. Well, it worked for most of them, but one of the men took the plug out of his ears, heard the siren songs, and jumped out to his death.
Right.
Odysseus himself was seen, struggling, fighting, trying to get out, trying to get away, trying to get away. And what I thought was an amazing thing that they did in the movie was to put us in the same perspective that the men that had their ears plugged was. Well, they didn't play the siren song. Because how could they? Nothing that they have played would live up to the expectations of what we thought it would be. Nothing is greater than our imagination in that moment. So I like the fact that he did that. And also what he said when Odysseus, because he did hear the song, they said, well, what was it like? And he says, what did he say? He says, I forgot what he said, but it was probably my favorite line in the whole film, about what you want but can't have because you've had it before and you've lost it, something to that extent. And it was just like, man, that was so cool how they did that. So they did that, escaped the sirens, and then you're dealing with the Sophie's Choice. You have a giant whirlpool like immediately after.
Immediately.
And then you have this giant monster on the other end.
Right.
So they're like, so they told him when he went to Hades, like, yo, Odysseus, gonna come to a choice, right? You're gonna go to the whirlpool. If you go that route, all your men are gonna die.
Right.
If you go the other route, I think only 6 or 7 are gonna die.
Right.
So yeah, they went the other way, and as soon as they did, those men got snatched up.
They did.
And then the second in command, he was like, hey man, you know what's gonna happen? He's like, yeah, I did, but would you rather have all of us die?
Again,
Why y'all still following the Odysseus?
Well, again, if in this situation, he actually made the right choice.
I know, but still, why are you still following him?
Well, they did try to. Okay, let's go back because they did even back at Circe's island. They what did it?
They told his butt to stay back. That's why he was.
Which one did they tell him that? Was it Circe? It was. What did they tell him to stay back?
Seriously, that's why he was. That's why he was out there. Yeah.
So after. A few times of going to different places and getting all his men killed.
Pretty much.
They did rebel and say, Odysseus, man, this ain't it.
Yeah, we're not doing this.
Is this a mutiny? What's it look like? So yeah.
Yeah, I think, you hit on some great points. Going back to the sirens, my takeaway from that moment, like you were saying, the guys had their ears plugged, all except that one who just had to hear the damn song and pretty much had to jump to his death. But then Odysseus, who was hearing the song, but had his men tie him up prior to going down there. I took it in a more spiritual route, as far as a lot of times we succumb to our own temptations. We know the right things to do, and yet and still we hear that inner voice telling us, don't go down this path, don't go down this path. But what we're hearing with our outer ears sounds more beautiful to us, more tempting to us. It's all the things that we really want to do, but could potentially be the worst things for us. But we don't listen to our inner voice that it's actually guiding us and leading us, and has the inner wisdom and intelligence of the divine wisdom that we actually need to get through life. And that's what happens to us in life, is that we unplug our ears and we hear the beautiful songs of temptation, and that's what happens. We end up going down a path that we don't want to go down. That's how I took that particular scene. So yeah, at this point, he has lost so many soldiers.
Well, he's lost all of them.
Pretty much. Let's go.
They're all dead.
They're all dead.
And let's talk about then what led to the last of them dying.
Yeah.
All right. So eventually they find another island after they escaped the sirens, the whirlpool, and the monster that came from the rocks, which the name escapes me. So they get to this island.
Yep.
Right? But we get to this island and say, hey, you can come here, but you cannot eat the livestock that exists on this island. So when they go in there, it's like, look, if we're going to go down anyway, we might as well go down, with full bellies and drown with not. But
at first they agreed.
Yeah. Yep. And they were strong.
Yeah.
But they couldn't get off the island.
Right.
Because the winds wouldn't let them get off the island. Again, this is a punishment.
Going
way back to Polyphemus.
Yep.
That Odysseus actually brought upon them.
Exactly.
So
he getting on my nerves now. I'm thinking about it.
So eventually they ate the food.
They did.
Odysseus caught them, and they're like, yo, as soon as they finish eating them, magically the wind stopped blowing. That's keeping them on the island.
Right.
So they say, hey, let's go right now.
Let's go.
So the winds let down enough for them to get on their boats, but as soon as they got on the boat,
that was it.
That was it. Poseidon came and got them and blew them away, and that is in seeing that how Odysseus ended up with Calypso.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
So, and I think I kept saying to myself, okay, was it worth it? Was that last meal really worth your life? Like that's like being on death row, and you just asked for your last meal, and that was your best meal, and now you gone. So eventually Odysseus does return home, and the sight to me, because he goes and he scopes out. Nobody knows he's home. He goes and he scopes it out, right? And could you imagine coming to your house and you got a whole bunch of people in your house and they eating all your good ass food?
Yep.
I'm talking about your ribs, your hamburgers. Like they walking around your house like it's their house. They open up your refrigerator and you just taking note. They don't know this your house. You just taking note. Like, okay, I'm gonna get him. Okay, that one eating my ribs. Okay, I'm for sure gonna get him.
Right.
Like I'm getting all of them.
Right.
But what was so cool to me is that he did have like hurt his leg on the journey back. And the same lady at the very beginning of the movie who patched his leg up or his ankle up when he had hurt his ankle is the same lady that noticed his scar on when she took his shoe off. And she noticed it. And so she knew it was him, but he kind of told her to like, shh, don't say anything.
Yep.
So I don't believe Penelope knew offhand, like right off, that it was him.
I kind of think she did, but somebody else knew it was him too. And it wasn't a person.
Was it the dog?
It was good old dog.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. That dog knew it was him.
Dog knew it was him. Dog had been taken by the suitors, embarrassed, and thrown on a pile of freaking crap. Literally.
Yeah.
Old dog on his last days.
Yeah.
But he recognized Odysseus, wagged that tail one last time, and went to that big old dog castle in the sky.
Yep. Absolutely.
lived just long enough to see Odysseus return.
Absolutely.
And it was a beautiful return, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I think what made me laugh about this return is like when he did string up his bow.
Mm-hmm.
Because you remember even the day before when he first came and nobody knew it was him.
Mm-hmm.
Old boy, is it Antonius?
Yeah, Antonio. Yeah.
Yeah, he tried to embarrass him.
Yep.
In front of everybody, like, oh, you gonna do it? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Gonna make sure we get you. And I was in the movie theater. I was just like, oh, please get him.
Right.
Please, just please get him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he thought he was doing some big stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then that next day when the whole and that's what, now going back to that now, I think Penelope did know it was them because
she
the whole little task that she gave everybody to try and choose who it was to string the bow.
She knows him, right?
So she knew none of them would be able to do it.
Right.
But when he was able to do it and he plucked that string and they closed all the men in, I said, oh, it's going down in the paint.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about that was, as soon as he plucked the bow, the first person to run was Antonius. Because again, Antonius remembers him when he was young. He remembers the hunting trips. And he remembers that he would always give that warning to the animals that he was going to come before he actually went out to get them. So that was pretty cool. Pretty cool moment. So all of these different suitors are there, right? Penelope gives the challenge, right? And they're trying to pull it. They're trying to do it. None of them can do it, right? They're all trying to pull the bow. They're not strong enough. And then Antonius comes outside and says, look, we get it, Penelope. We get it. You're giving us something to do. None of us are Odysseus. None of us could ever be Odysseus. That's only what he can do, but you still have to choose. So choose one of us. And then that's when Odysseus comes up, gives that warning. Antonius runs. He strings up the bow. He pulls it back. Lets out that arrow. Straight through. Jumps back. Jumps up. And then that next arrow goes into one of the suitors' necks. And then from that point on.
Yeah, he was tearing their butt up.
It's on.
He was tearing them up. And the whole thing is, what was his name? Eumaeus. I forgot what's the guy name who was like trying to throw like the tools through the.
Oh yeah, I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Antonius was like, get all the weapons. Get all 48,000 weapons down.
Yeah.
Get the suitors to try to.
But mind you, Antonius, he was standing behind a wall and a freaking little ceiling thing pole and thing like get him. I was like, yo, somebody get the kill that just blessed my soul was that black man, the one from Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Because he was doing all that talk. He was the biggest bully. Yeah. And I was so happy to see him get killed. And I ain't never been, like, I do not condone violence, but I was like, get him. Get him. Like, right now.
Yeah, he's the one
like,
who kicked out the dog.
Yeah.
And
somebody actually kicked the dog.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, it was him.
Yeah.
Like, he got to go.
Yeah, he was extra nasty with it.
Yes.
He was the first one, I think, that got shot in the neck.
Absolutely.
And then Temecula, because he found the guy who was throwing all of the weapons through the ceiling down to the little cowards down there, he went up there to handle him. Yeah. And so I remember when we was walking out of the movies after the movies was over, and what was the first thing I said? I said, man, Temecula wouldn't have been able to do nothing if it wasn't from Odysseus, because I said he was weak.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was a pampered person, grew up in being rich and stuff. Never saw any true battle and such, but he did beat that one guy. When it came down to it, he did. He did more than beat him.
Yeah,
he killed him.
Yeah, he did. So when the time got right, he was right. He was right. So Odysseus is wiping them all out, and. Eventually, he takes him out.
He takes him out, and if I'm not mistaken,
he gets Antonius.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
Oh yeah, that was another beautiful one. Because I was just waiting on him too.
Yeah.
Because he was, I mean, not only was he a coward, but didn't he send his little brother to battle in his place instead?
Oh yeah, he did, I believe, right?
Yeah, at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like he was the one that was supposed to actually go to war.
Yep.
And he sent his little brother,
He's a coward.
Yeah, coward to the
core.
Oh my gosh.
Coward to the core.
So, like Poe said, this is wipe them all out. And Penelope and Odysseus is back together. So I believe at this very end, because again, this movie was 3 freaking hours long. I believe at the very end, he blesses Temecula to take over Ithaca, and then him and Penelope leave and go on a journey.
Mm-hmm.
Where this journey is, I can't.
Well, it was the journey to go to honor his men.
As Sinon said, when they went to Hades, that he must go and honor the fallen men, and that's where he went.
Okay.
With Penelope.
Right, and then that was pretty much the Odyssey. So I would say overall, when it comes down to my rating for this, I would still give it a run to the theaters for the entire experience. Even if you don't know anything about the Odyssey, the whole experience, and be sure to see it in IMAX. I'm not sure how it looks in the other regular movie theaters, but I believe because he shot it in IMAX, that's the best experience that you're going to have with this movie is if you see it in IMAX. It was a great experience for me, despite me not knowing anything about the Odyssey prior to going to see this movie.
Yeah, so the movie ends and the last shot is with the Trojan horse. And all right, so overall what this whole movie is about, right? It's basically, for me, it's about the end of polite society and the breaking of Zeus's law, right? By treating every neighbor with kindness, because you never know which of your neighbors could be a god in disguise. They really believed in that. By Odysseus planning the Trojan horse, it was a bridge too far of a polite society. In war, there are rules. And what he committed by bringing the Trojan horse in was what we would call today a war crime, because it was done with deception. It was a breaking of Zeus's law, because this was meant as a gift, and it was deception. Your men jumped out and y'all killed people.
Right.
These men from the sea that people talked about and feared were Odysseus' men. Circe was correct in saying that they were pigs, because we saw what happened when they invaded Troy.
Yeah.
They raped, they robbed, they pillaged. Circe said that. At that time when she said it, you're like, these aren't those guys that did it.
Right.
But in Troy, they did do that. And
that's true.
The culmination of that was killing Zendaya's character. The woman who we saw as Athena throughout the movie was a woman that was killed in the pillage and plundering of Troy. Odysseus saw that. And this guilt remained with Odysseus throughout the entirety of the movie. This is why he wanted to forget. This is why he had a heavy heart. This is why he was okay with being with Calypso for 7 years.
Right.
And he said as much to Penelope. He carried a heavy heart because he knows what he had done.
Yeah.
And not only done in this specific instance for the sacking and pillaging of Troy, this led to the end, not only to that society, but to the end of the Bronze Age in and of itself. So, Penelope knew what he did and offered him forgiveness for that. And in the end, Athena, or Zendaya's character, seemed like he was forgiven too. Now, this is about a man with guilt that was on the road to redemption, who played a part in what happened, right? It wasn't just I cannot think of his name, the guy in the black suit, Agamemnon, right? Odysseus' part in the fall of the Bronze Age was very apparent. And now, this is the first time I thought about this. This also reminds me of the story of Job in the Bible. Odysseus as Job, when God and the devil had a conversation, and God said, you can take everything away from Job, but you cannot take his life. Took his livestock, they took his wife, they took his children. But Job lived in, again, he got back not what he lost, because you can never get back that original that you lost, but he did get, new people in his life to replace those that he had lost. And this seemed to be very similar to the Odyssey. Zeus told Poseidon, you can take everything or all his men, but you can't kill him, right? And eventually he gets back home. He gets back to his son. He gets back to his wife. He didn't really lose any part of his family, but he did lose all of his men, who in a sense were family to him. So I do see those parallels between the story of Job and the story of Odysseus. I'm not really sure which came first, but it's very interesting. Overall, this movie was fantastic. It was amazing through and through. One of my favorite movies in a long time. 10 out of 10. I believe it will go on to be a classic movie. Phenomenal. I cannot wait to see it again at home. And I actually want to go out and see it again on IMAX. The themes of this movie definitely resonate. That overlying theme of Zeus's law and what it is to be good to guests, and how it's changed forever since the Trojan War, since the Trojan horse, and how Odysseus' men paid the ultimate sacrifice for it and price for it. But hopefully, knowing what he knew and going what he went through will make Odysseus a better person going forward, to see what men are capable of when left unchecked. His men that he led, and that's got to stick with him.
Awesome. So that is one movie, two perspectives, and that is the end of this particular review. So keep watching your movies and popping your popcorn, and we will see you on another review. All right, bye.